What in the sun-dried mongoose is even going on, dude? Guys, what's going on? It's Cynical, and welcome back to another Kingdom Hearts news and information video. Today for you guys, we're going to be talking about the most recent Union Cross story update. It seems to be that Union Cross's story updates, in the sense of main story progression, has finally picked up the pace. Obviously, ever since the sort of major story update we got to do with the mysterious dark figure, as well as Maleficent, which that in itself was an absolutely insane return to that of Union Cross's main story progression. Well, we've received yet another one, and things are at still a very confusing point. A very confusing point indeed. However, in this most recent story update, we actually got a brand new character revealed to us, Larxene, who at the end of the story update is seen having a conversation with Lauriam. This is her right here, and she might actually look very familiar to quite a few of you guys. That is because if we rearrange the letters of Larxene, add an X, we can make Larxene. Yes, that is correct. This person right here seems to be the somebody version of that of Larxene. And I mean, of course, Larxene's somebody would have some sort of connection to that of Marluxia's potential somebody as well. As we know, Marluxia and Larxene are sort of butt buddies. They're the ones that came up with the devious plan to overthrow the organization, and thus the events of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories takes place. Obviously, in the end, Axel was sent to that of Castle Oblivion by that of Xemnas in order to track down the betrayers, this being both Marluxia and Larxene. So it seems to be that the connection sort of goes further back than that of the Organization 13, in the sense that their backstories actually do overlap. It's very interesting though, because when we look at Larxene, it sort of seems to be that this girl right here looks very, very innocent, very sort of nice and sweet. Whereas when we look at somebody like Larxene, it's sort of the complete opposite. As we know, Larxene is very bitter, very sour, and to be honest, all around, she's really not a nice person. Yeah, she's kind of a bitch. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. As we also know, throughout Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, it's very apparent that Larxene makes fun of feelings and makes fun of even having a heart. There's quite a few times throughout the game where when we actually come in contact with her as Sora, when Sora's speaking towards feelings, she does nothing but really mock him, make fun of feeling certain things. It's very apparent that in Chain of Memories, Larxene has a particular sort of hatred towards that of feeling. It makes me think that the story of Larxene, Larxene's somebody, will be a pretty sad and quite tragic story. I almost feel as if the somebody version of Larxene went through a certain tragedy to the point where she didn't exactly want to feel feelings anymore, hence the result of the Larxene that we know, one that has a certain hatred towards that of feeling things. It's a very interesting dynamic, seeing that Larxene seems to be a very nice and sort of sweet, innocent girl, although we haven't exactly seen too much of this character so far, so maybe it's a little bit too early to judge. However, the story update gets wackier than that. In a conversation between Ephemera as well as Lauriam explains that he's off to take care of some personal business, to track down and find someone. As we saw in the Maleficent update, it was explained that the Tome of Prophecies can no longer project the worlds in which we go to within Kingdom Hearts Key. In case you don't know, the means in which we were using in order to travel to the different Disney worlds in the Key saga was via the Tome of Prophecies, as it was able to project actual worlds from that of the future. After the Keyblade War and the Foretellers disappearing, the Tome of Prophecies was no longer doing this. However, though, the Foretellers came up with a backup plan to basically duplicate all of the data from those worlds that were being projected and turn them into actual data worlds, sort of like data copies or replicants of those worlds. And that's now how we access these worlds in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, these sort of data digital versions of the worlds that we once used to go through via that of the Tome of Prophecies. So Lauriam explains that he's off to go visit different worlds in order to find this missing person that he's trying to track down via these data replicants, keeping in mind that the data versions of these worlds aren't just the worlds, but all of the characters that once used to inhabit these worlds as well. When we skip forward to the scene of Lauriam and Larxene, it's explained that he's trying to find a person, his little sister being that of Strelitzia. Yeah, that's right, we all thought that Lauriam was the one who ended up killing Strelitzia, as we know she was once set to be a dandelion leader, but she was murdered off and killed, and all of us thought, alright, this must be Lauriam who did this, just sort of judging by the shadowy figure's shape that we see in the Strelitzia death scene, and it ultimately makes sense with the sort of character personality that Marluxia has. But hold on a minute, it wouldn't exactly make too much sense that Lauriam would go ahead and kill his sister, or maybe it would. Maybe he knew that Strelitzia was set to be that of a dandelion leader and ultimately wanted her role. That doesn't exactly explain the reason behind Lauriam now wanting to track down Strelitzia, if of course he was Strelitzia's murderer. Although maybe Lauriam is wanting to bring back the digital copy of that of Strelitzia, so that now he's a dandelion leader but can also have his sister back. Maybe he could bring back a digital version of Strelitzia before she was ultimately murdered off, and knew about her potentially becoming a dandelion leader. Sort of a win-win situation. Lauriam's now a dandelion leader, he can bring back Strelitzia from a previous point before she knew she was going to become a leader, and he can continue to live happy days. But then, how exactly does Elrina, Larxene somebody, come into this picture? Keeping in mind though, we still don't know the definitive person who ended up actually murdering off Strelitzia. Maybe on the other side of the coin, the story of Lauriam could be one of redemption and revenge, trying to track down and find the person who ended up murdering off Strelitzia. It's totally possible that the murderer could have taken Strelitzia's notebook and delivered it to that of Lauriam. Lauriam could have just randomly come across the book, thinking that this was the foretellers delivering the book to him, went to the meeting, officially became a dandelion leader, and that's how he officially fits into the group. As seen during the conversation between Ephemera and Lauriam, he did mention that this person that he's trying to look for was to actually be a dandelion leader. So with the way that Lauriam is wording all of this, how he's desperate to find Strelitzia, even going as far to get somebody else to help him out with tracking her down, I'm sort of on the fence about him being the murderer of Strelitzia, and rather it actually being somebody else. It leads me to believe that a lot of the reason behind why some of these nobodies that ended up joining the organization 13, losing their hearts, etc., becoming villains in the end, could be the result of tragedies and set certain things that happened during their human days. Just because Marluxia is a devious villain who is constantly up to no good and pretty much thinks about himself and nothing but himself, ultimately wanting power and nothing but power, I don't think we should say the same for his human form. Going back to the whole Elrina thing, it seems to be that she's a very genuine and down-to-earth girl, very innocent, but of course when we look at Larxene, it's the complete opposite. Again, a result of something that might have happened during the human days. Now aside from all those crazy happenings which happened towards the end of the story update, we also have a brand new meeting conversation between the dandelion leaders, aside from that of Lauriam, as he's off busy doing his own deeds. Now the conversation that the dandelion leaders have isn't really overly too important per se. They're really just sitting down discussing more rules that were contained in the rule book that they were all given. Specifically though, in this story update, they're discussing a rule known as Shift Pride, which is the rule behind allowing Keyblade wielders to go key to key in order to fight each other in a competitive sense. This is actually quite interesting because this is in direct reference to that of the PvP system from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. Yes, they actually somehow managed to tie the PvP mode into the actual story, which I gotta say is actually pretty damn cool. Again, going back to the whole data worlds, and now that Union Cross and all of the worlds that we go to in Union Cross are data versions of the worlds that we once used to go to previous to that of the Union Cross events. Like I mentioned, all characters and inhabitants of those worlds and any other Keyblade wielders that once stepped into those worlds were recorded in the data, meaning in the sense of the PvP system, whenever you spawn into a PvP match, you see the sort of data animation thing swirl around the player, and then they then spawn in. Both Ventus and Scold ended up voting against the Shift Pride rule, the rule that allows two Keyblade wielders to go key to key competitively. Ephemera's solution to this though was using these data versions of the worlds and using the data that was stored from different Keyblade wielders in order to allow different Keyblade wielders to fight competitively, even though they're not technically fighting a real person, but a data version of that person. So like I said, at the start of a Coliseum match for PvP, you do see that sort of data animations swirl around the player you're versing, then they spawn in. So this is exactly how Square Enix tied in the PvP system into the lore of Union Cross, which again is actually kind of smart and pretty cool. At this point though, with the whole data worlds going on and knowing that all of the worlds are now data and like set certain characters we're fighting are data and stuff, it's sort of hard to determine what's real and sort of what's not. Ever since that Maleficent story update came out, it's really just twisted our underpants in the sense of the understanding towards what the hell is going on in this game, knowing that there's set certain multiple different realities and universes and all of that kind of crazy stuff. Nomura is an absolute madman, and he's just going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper with each Kingdom Hearts Union Cross story update. It's kind of scary. Nomura, you gotta chill. You gotta chill. But all in all, that pretty much wraps up the most recent Union Cross story update. Some very confusing things are going on, especially in the sense of the whole Alrina thing, how Lauriam's connected to her, and exactly how Alrina is going to be able to help Lauriam track down Strelitzia. Even why he's trying to track down Strelitzia when a lot of us believe that Lauriam was the one that ended up actually murdering her. And to also further know that Strelitzia is actually Lauriam's sister. There's a lot of wacky stuff going on, dude. Oh my god. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. In the comment section down below, please do let me know your thoughts and opinions towards all of this wackiness. There is just too much wackiness going on at the moment, but I would love to know what you guys think. So please be sure to leave the thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. However, guys, with all that being said, I'm Cynical. Hopefully you dudes are having a fantastic day. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.
Hit them on the page, you'll be coming through stain. Gold in my mouth when you suckers be bluffing. Milk crate, gaming up your bitch though. Catch me in the back playing Super Nintendo.